Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We're doing a deep dive today that I think is going to hit home for a lot of people. It cuts right to the core of modern business, especially for you if you're a solopreneur, an ambitious one, or you're leading a small, fast-moving team.
Mm-hmm. The kind of person who's wearing a lot of hats.
Exactly. And if you've been using generative AI tools like ChatGPT, you've probably felt that initial, like, wow moment, that thrill.
Yeah.
But you've also probably, and very quickly, run into a wall.
Oh, absolutely. The wall of inconsistency and just chaos, really.
Total chaos. So today we're diving into how to operationalize that intelligence. We're moving past the novelty phase, the fun and games, and into its real function as true business infrastructure.
Right. And the sources we've been looking at, they all point to this really fundamental shift in how we should be interacting with AI. It's not a toy anymore.
No. So our mission today is, I think, pretty straightforward. We need to help you stop thinking of prompts as these, chaotic one-off queries that you paste into a chat window, crossing your fingers and hoping for a miracle.
We've all been there.
We have all been there. We're shifting that mindset completely. We're talking about structured, repeatable, scalable prompt systems. This is the invisible architecture that's already powering the next generation of really efficient, high-quality businesses. And we're going to show you how to start building it.
And we want to do it without all the jargon, without the info overload. It's about getting that knowledge quickly, because you have to understand the evolution here. It's been so fast. Our sources really highlight this. In 2023, prompts were, frankly, playful.
Right. We were all writing poems about our cats in the style of Shakespeare.
Exactly. We were just discovering what they could do, generating funny images, experimenting. Then in 2024, they became productive. We started, integrating them into daily tasks, drafting an email, summarizing meeting notes. Useful stuff.
But the real game, and this is the focus of 2025 and beyond, is where prompts become, and I love this phrase, programmable assets.
That's it. That's the whole shift.
They stop being these temporary inputs that just disappear, and they start being actual infrastructure, stored, managed, deployed components of your business.
Which brings us to the core question for you, for anyone listening who's ambitious.
Yeah.
If you're a solopreneur, how do you capture your absolute best thinking? Your unique brand voice, your special way of solving a problem, your deep industry expertise.
And scale it.
And scale it using AI, ensuring that the consistency and the quality are there every single time, no matter how much you're producing.
Because if you can capture that magic, right, that perfect way you summarize a client report or the way you write a really persuasive email, if you can bottle that and put it on repeat reliably, that's when you actually win. That's when you can truly scale your impact beyond just the hours you have in a day.
Precisely. Because every effective prompt, when you really look at it, it's actually an encoded process. It's a very specific instruction set that mirrors a reliable human way of thinking, a proven methodology for a task.
So you're not just asking for an answer. You're teaching the AI how to think like you.
You're teaching it your specialized skill set.
Yeah.
That's it. And if that logic, that valuable method you spent weeks or months refining, if that can be stored, refined, stress-tested, and then automatically plugged into your workflows over and over, it stops being a temporary input that gets lost in your chat history.
Yeah.
It becomes foundational business infrastructure, an asset that actually compounds your expertise over time.
Okay, so let's start with that immediate pain point, the one that I know everyone listening has felt. We're calling it the one-shot problem. We've all done this, right? You ask ChatGPT something once, you spend 20 minutes tweaking it, and you get a pretty good answer. You copy it, you move on, and you think, I've cracked the code. I'm an AI genius.
And then an hour later, you try to do it again.
Exactly. An hour later, you ask something similar, maybe you tweak the prompt a little because the context is different, and the answer is suddenly terrible. It's just awful. Or it's inconsistent, or it completely loses that specific brand voice you worked so hard to get.
The sources are, they're unanimous on this.
Yeah.
The old model of one-off prompting is so inefficient. It borders on being wasteful.
Yeah.
You're constantly re-engineering your core instructions for every single task.
It's exhausting. It adds so much cognitive load.
It does. You waste so much time just trying to remember the perfect phrasing, or worse, you just give up and accept inconsistent kind of mediocre output. For a solopreneur, that's just not scalable.
It's like being a chef who invents the most amazing recipe for a sauce, right? But instead of writing it down, they just try to remember it from scratch every single time they cook.
You might get lucky a few times.
You might, but eventually you're going to burn the dish or forget the key ingredient. And that's why the most successful, the truly forward-thinking teams are asking totally different questions now. They're moving past, how do I write a good prompt right now?
And they're asking, what if we standardized the absolute best prompts we've ever written and, lock them in?
Right. And once you standardize, the next logical step seems to be breaking them down.
Exactly. Standardization leads directly to modularity. They're asking, what if we broke these successful prompts down into smaller, interchangeable components that we can reuse? Imagine your perfect prompt for a client email. You could break that into 3 separate files.
Oh, like what?
Like the tone module, which is always friendly but professional. Then the format module, which is always 3 paragraphs with a clear call to action. And then the specific task instruction, which is, confirming the meeting details.
So they're like digital Lego bricks. You can snap them together in different ways.
Exactly like Lego bricks. And the most advanced question, the one that leads us straight to prompt systems, is what if we chain these components together into reliable, sophisticated systems that can automate multi-step tasks? That's how you get complexity without ever sacrificing that core consistency.
And this isn't some abstract, far-off future concept for giant tech firms. This is happening right now.
Oh yeah, the sources make it clear. Companies like Klarna, HubSpot, Notion, they're not just telling their employees to write better queries. They are actively building internal prompt libraries.
And these aren't just like a messy Google Doc that everyone shares, right?
No, not at all. These are structured, version-controlled systems. They're managed with the same rigor as software code. They become the single, reliable engine that powers massive parts of the organization, everything from customer support to internal decision-making.
Okay, so let's bring this back. If you're listening from your home office, you don't have a giant engineering team. Why does this matter so much to you, the solopreneur?
It matters because of one thing above all else, the consistency advantage.
Okay, unpack that.
When you're a solo operator or you have a tiny team, your brand voice, your quality, your reliability, that's everything. It's often the only reason a client picks you over a bigger firm.
It's your personal touch.
It's your personal touch. And if you're generating content, emails, proposals, anything, using chaotic, one-off prompting, your output is going to drift. It's inevitable. It'll feel inconsistent. And that subtle inconsistency, it erodes the professional trust you've worked so hard to build.
It's the difference between a high-end bespoke tailor and a fast fashion chain. Your unique cut, your specific style, that's your value. A prompt system helps you mass produce that unique style.
What a great analogy. A prompt system doesn't just scale volume of work. It locks in the consistency of the tone and quality that defines your expertise. It makes sure that every single communication, no matter who runs the prompt or what time of day it is, sounds exactly like your brand.
Even when you're tired or you're under a crazy deadline.
Especially then. It moves you from an environment where your quality depends entirely on the human typing the prompt and their mood that day to one, where your quality depends on the excellence of the system you built once and then keep refining.
So, if you're using AI to generate, say, 10 social media posts, and 3 of them sound super formal, but 7 of them are witty and casual, you're just confusing your audience. You're diluting your brand.
You are. A prompt system forces all 10 of those posts to adhere to the single, proven tone module you created. That enforcement of discipline is it's paramount.
Yeah, you can see how that would change things.
Think about customer replies. If you rely on 5 different human-generated replies or 5 slightly different prompts, you get 5 different tones, 5 different approaches. Sometimes they might even contradict each other.
Right.
With a centralized version-controlled system, you get the single, best-performing, legally compliant, and on-brand response every single time. That's not just efficient. It's a massive leap forward in your professional presentation and even how you manage liability.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We're moving beyond just being more efficient and into building a genuine, defensible competitive advantage, a business moat. And the concept that really struck me from the source material was this powerful idea that prompt systems are the new APIs, but for human reasoning.
That analogy is perfect. It perfectly captures the gravity of this shift. An API, an application programming interface, it lets 2 pieces of code talk to each other reliably.
Right. It's a bridge between software.
It is. A prompt system does the same thing, but it allows a human's best reasoning, their intention, their logic, their expertise. It lets all of that be communicated efficiently and repeatedly to a powerful machine. It's a mechanism for scaling your intent and your judgment.
And the contrast there is so important. Traditional code is rigid, right? It needs very specific rules. If you miss a semicolon, the whole thing breaks.
Exactly.
But prompts, by their nature, are fluid. They carry intent and context and nuance, things that are really hard to nail down in binary code. So the prompt system becomes this complementary dynamic software layer. You're not replacing your tech stack, you're adding a layer that helps the AI understand the spirit of the task.
And that is precisely why we're seeing the rise of prompt IP, intellectual property. Businesses are creating and fiercely guarding this stuff. This is strategic now. The economics prove it. The sources we looked at confirm the AI prompt marketplace. That's the tools, the systems, the frameworks to manage all this. It's growing at a staggering rate, nearly 27% compound annual growth.
27%. That's not happening because big companies are just looking for new ways to write funny limericks.
No. It's happening because this is core infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's because businesses are realizing that these refined, tested, structured prompt frameworks are profoundly valuable IP. They're a new kind of moat, a defensible asset.
So it's like having a secret recipe or a proprietary manufacturing process.
It's exactly like that. Just like proprietary code libraries or detailed standard operating procedures, these prompt systems encode valuable company knowledge, they scale quality control, and they enable a level of automation that doesn't need constant, expensive engineering oversight.
So the value isn't just the thing the system creates, the social media post or whatever. The value is in the recipe itself. The methodology that guarantees the output is excellent every time.
Yes, and that realization brings us to a really key concept, the automation of judgment. A prompt doesn't just automate the typing of an email. It automates the decision of how that email should be typed, what tone it needs, what key facts it must include, what level of risk disclosure is required.
And that's where the governance angle comes in. The sources have this really powerful quote: "He who controls the prompts controls the model. He who controls the model controls the business."
It's a bit chilling, but it's also true. And it's why the control, management, and security of these systems become so critical.
Yeah, chilling in a corporate sense, but for a solopreneur, it's actually incredibly motivating. You can be the one in control, and nothing drives this point home better than the Klarna case study.
The Klarna revolution.
We have to spend some time here because this is the ultimate proof point for scaling your intelligence without scaling your headcount, which is, let's be honest, the dream for every solopreneur listening right now.
So Klarna, the huge Swedish financial services company, built an AI system. And it was fueled by these internally tested, version-controlled, carefully managed prompt chains. The scale of the outcome is what should really grab everyone's attention.
This is the headline number.
This system, built on this refined prompt architecture, effectively replaced 700 human customer service agents.
Let's just sit with that for a second. 700 people. This wasn't some tiny experiment in a back office. This was a massive, strategic, public shift in how they handle their customers across the globe.
And this is the most important part. The results were not just about cutting costs, which is what everyone assumes.
Right, that's the cynical take.
It is. But the data tells a different story. This is a success story, not just a labor story. They saw a 25% drop in the time it took to resolve a customer's issue. So the AI was objectively faster.
Okay, faster makes sense, but what about quality?
This is the kicker. This is what proves the system worked. They also achieved higher user satisfaction scores compared to the human agents they had before.
Wait, what? So it was faster, cheaper, and the customers were happier.
Happier.
How is that even possible? That completely demolishes the old idea that automation means you have to sacrifice quality or that human touch.
It suggests that the AI system, which was guided by these incredibly well-engineered, consistent prompt systems that encoded the absolute best practices of their very top human agents, was delivering clearer, faster, and more reliably helpful interactions than the average human agent could across a pool of 700 people.
Because the AI never has a bad day. It never forgets a policy update. It has instant access to the entire knowledge base.
Yes, exactly. For the solopreneur, the takeaway here is crystal clear. This shows a direct path to scaling your own intelligence, your business expertise, without the massive cost and headache of scaling your headcount. If one person can build a high-quality prompt system that handles 70% of their repeatable communication perfectly, that is the ultimate business leverage.
So let's make this even more concrete. Let's talk about what this looks like when prompt systems become actual products, beyond just customer service. The sources had a couple of great examples.
Yeah, let's take the media company example.
Yeah.
So Instead of relying on a human editor to painstakingly check every article to make sure it meets complex SEO rules, that it adheres to a very specific brand tone, and that it has all the right legal disclaimers.
A process that takes hours and is prone to human error.
Right. You use a prompt suite. It's a chain of specialized prompts, one for tone, one for structure, one for SEO, one for compliance. And that system ensures every single piece of content is consistently ready to go viral, it's optimized for search, and it sounds exactly like the brand, automatically.
For a solopreneur who runs a blog or a consultancy, that is a complete game changer. Consistency is your currency.
It absolutely is. Or think about the law firm example. Law is so specialized. A firm uses prompts not just to draft a basic contract template, that's easy. They use it to spot subtle legal risks and, this is the amazing part, to cite highly specific jurisdictional nuances automatically.
Wow.
That system, that specific set of refined instructions on how to apply legal knowledge, that is their product. It's taking decades of human legal expertise and making it instantly callable, scalable, and reproducible across thousands of documents.
So for a small consulting firm, your ability to deliver that highly nuanced, specialized service is what sets you apart. If you can encapsulate that unique expertise into a version-controlled prompt system, your own proprietary method, you can sell the output of that system or the leverage it gives you, not just your billable hours.
That is the true definition of scaling an expert service business without just hiring more people.
Okay, that brings us to the architecture. The Klarna example is amazing. It shows us what these massive efficiency gains. But the next logical question for everyone listening is, okay, but how? How did they build that system?
Right, from the big idea to the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. And when we talk about moving from these, throwaway inputs to actual systems, we're talking about adopting a discipline that's now known as prompt ops.
It's basically the operations side of prompt engineering. It's the infrastructure, the processes, the quality control, everything you need to treat your prompts, your intellectual property like professional software.
And this is the structure that prevents what you called quality drift. Right? We all know that feeling. You're using AI for client reports, it's going great, and then 1 month the quality just tanked.
And you have no idea why. Maybe you changed one word in the prompt and forgot. Maybe the underlying model got an update. Prompt ops is the formal discipline that's designed to prevent that kind of catastrophic drop in reliability.
And even though you, the listener, might not be building a system for 700 agents, understanding the formality here is so important. It gives you the ideal framework to aim for, even if your tools are just, a Google Sheet in your brain.
Absolutely. The sources talk about these new specialized roles that are popping up in large companies, which just proves this is a real discipline now.
Like what kind of roles?
Well, you have prompt engineers, and their whole job is to design the fundamental instruction logic. They write the initial high-performance prompt sequences.
Okay, so they're the architects.
They are. Then you have prompt QA teams. They're the testers. Their job is to constantly check for reliability, to find and weed out subtle biases in the language, and maybe most importantly, to check for hallucinations. The AI just confidently making stuff up.
Which happens all the time.
It does. Then you have the prompt ops teams themselves. They manage the entire life cycle of the system, deployment, monitoring, updates. They're the mechanics who keep the engine running.
And finally, there's governance.
Right. Governance oversees the ethical use, copyright issues, data security, and making sure the output meets all the brand standards and legal compliance rules. Seeing these specialized roles just underscores it. This is a professional strategic function.
So we have to treat our own small prompt systems with that same level of respect, even if we're the ones doing all 4 of those jobs.
You're the architect, the tester, the mechanic, and the CEO. That's the solopreneur life.
It is. Okay, so let's break down the 4 essential pillars of prompt ops. This is where the theory becomes an actual actionable structure. We'll translate these big enterprise ideas for the solo operator.
Let's start with pillar 1, prompt dev environments.
Okay, dev environments. Sounds technical.
It's simpler than it sounds. Think of it like a specialized workshop or a garage where you'd build and test a high-performance racing engine. You wouldn't test the engine for a big race on a bumpy dirt road. You'd use a specialized track with all the right tools.
Okay, that makes sense. So what is a dev environment in the prompt world? It's more than just the regular ChatGPT window, I assume.
Oh, much more. These are dedicated platforms. The sources mention examples like Prompt Layer, Dust, Prompt Hub. They're places where you can write, test, debug, and even collaborate on prompts. Just like a software developer uses what's called an IDE, an integrated development environment, to write code.
And what makes these so much better than just having a chat window open?
They turn that chaotic manual experimentation into a repeatable, almost scientific process. For a small business owner, the most vital feature is probably variable injection.
What's that?
It means instead of rewriting your entire prompt 50 times, you create one master template. For example, instead of write a marketing email for the new ebook targeting early-stage entrepreneurs in Boston, you create a template with variables. Write a marketing email for product name targeting target audience and location.
Ah, so you just plug in the new data each time.
You just plug in the variables. This immediately boosts your consistency because the core instruction, the proven template, never changes. It also eliminates all those little human copy-paste errors that can completely derail a prompt.
That's huge.
It is. They also allow for side-by-side prompt comparisons. It's like instant A/B testing for your AI's logic. You can run prompt A, which is maybe a bit sarcastic, right next to prompt B, which is more sincere, and see how they respond to the exact same input. It lets you empirically decide which structure actually works best for your business goal.
And they keep track of changes.
Yes, they maintain audit logs. So if a prompt that was working great suddenly starts performing poorly, you can immediately go back and see who changed what and exactly when the quality started to drift. It takes all the guesswork out of optimizing.
It turns it from an art into a repeatable science. Okay, that's pillar one. What's pillar two? Prompt version control.
This is absolutely non-negotiable for any serious business. Prompts, just like code, are constantly evolving. You tweak the phrasing, you swap in a new module, you change a constraint based on feedback.
Right, you're always tinkering.
Always. And without version control using tools like Git, which is what developers use, or even simpler dedicated platforms, you have no idea which version gave you that amazing result last week. Or who made that one tiny change yesterday that suddenly made your professional email sound way too informal.
It's that single source of truth problem. If your best prompt lives in a dozen different documents across your cloud drive, you're going to lose track of which one is the master version.
You are, and you introduce risk every time. Version control solves this. It tracks every single revision, it lets you quickly roll back a failed experiment, and it lets you compare the performance data between, say, version 2.1 and version 2.2. For a solopreneur managing a content pipeline, it ensures that the prompt defining your brand voice remains the single definitive version.
So you can experiment safely.
You can experiment safely, knowing you can always get back to what works. That discipline is managed by the system, not by your own memory, which is famously unreliable when you're stressed.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now, pillar three, prompt deployment pipelines. This one sounds like pure enterprise jargon. How do we explain this to someone who just wants to, automate some emails?
Let's just think of it as CI/CD for AI.
Which we
Continuous integration and continuous deployment. But forget the jargon. The core concept is about reliability and automation at scale. It's the mechanism that reliably ships your great tested prompt at exactly the right moment, making sure it gets triggered correctly and automatically every single time. It's about taking the prompt out of the workshop and putting it onto the assembly line.
So it's not just about writing the perfect prompt, it's about making sure the right perfect prompt gets used at the right time without you having to think about it.
That's it, exactly. Deployment pipelines manage the complex logic of when and how a prompt gets triggered. They push your validated version control prompts into your production environments. That could be a big internal app, or it could just be a simple automation trigger in a tool like Zapier or Make.
Okay, give me a real-world small business example of that logic in action.
Okay, let's simplify the Klarna model. Imagine you run a subscription box service. Your customer support AI needs to use different prompt versions based on real-time data. You have a general prompt, version 2.0, for billing issues.
Got it.
But if a customer emails about a billing issue and your system sees they've been a subscriber for 5 years, the pipeline must automatically switch to version 3.1, which has a special module that includes a personalized apology and maybe an automatic discount.
So it's dynamically choosing the right response.
It is, and we can take it a step further. If the text from the customer's email has an emotional tone that signals high frustration or anger, the deployment logic instantly directs the system to use a specialized de-escalation module, prioritizing empathy above all else. The system manages all that nuance that a human might miss or just be too tired to apply consistently.
Okay, I see. The pipeline is the smart traffic cop directing which prompt to use. And finally, pillar 4, prompt QA and monitoring. The safety net.
The safety net is essential because we have to remember that large language models are probabilistic. They don't follow rigid rules like code. They make predictions. And that means they can behave inconsistently, especially with weird inputs or when the model provider pushes an update you don't know about.
And testing prevents the system from going rogue.
It prevents quality drift. And critically, it prevents hallucinations. The AI confidently inventing facts or company policies that don't exist, which could be a disaster.
So what does good QA look like for a solopreneur? It can't just be reading the output once and saying, looks good.
No, it has to be
Yeah.
more sophisticated. It includes manual testing for tone and clarity, of course, but you can also do automated scoring. You can use a second, simpler prompt to check the output of your first, more complex prompt.
How would that work?
You could have your AI generate a legal brief and then have a second AI automatically check it and answer simple questions. Did this brief mention policy X? Is the word count below 500? Is the reading grade level appropriate for the client? It's a simple, automated quality check.
And what about this red teaming concept? It sounds kind of intense.
It is. It's the final security check. Red teaming is when you intentionally try to break your own system. You simulate abuse or malicious intent. You try sophisticated prompt injection attacks where you try to trick the model into ignoring its safety rules or your brand guidelines.
Why is that so important?
Because if you're building a system that contains your proprietary research or your secret sauce, you have to be sure a malicious user can't trick it into spitting that information out. And then monitoring is just the continuous vigilance after you launch. You track user satisfaction, failure rates, and that data feeds back into making the system better.
This whole framework, it really shifts the conversation from how do I use AI to how do I manage my AI assets?
And that management is the difference between an AI hobbyist and an AI-powered business.
Okay, now for the most important part. We've talked about the why, we've talked about the architecture. Now we have to translate all of this powerful enterprise-level infrastructure into practical, actionable steps for you, the solopreneur, who is probably managing everything from a laptop and needs solutions that are low cost but have high leverage.
Absolutely. This is the how-to. You don't need $1 million budget to adopt the discipline of prompt ops. The goal is to move from that state of prompt chaos to a structured system using simple, available tools. We've boiled it all down into a 7-step blueprint.
Let's walk through it. Step 1 is audit use cases. Where do you even begin?
You have to start small and focused. If you try to systematize everything at once, you'll burn out. So you look for tasks in your workflow that are highly repetitive, tasks that require your unique judgment but that also demand consistent delivery. This is the low-hanging fruit where you'll get the biggest and fastest return.
Give me some classic examples for a solopreneur.
Okay, think about customer replies to common questions. What's your refund policy? What are the onboarding steps? You write that email over and over. Think about email drafts for sales outreach or invoicing reminders, internal research summaries, turning a 50-page report into 5 key bullet points, or even screening contractor resumes where you're always looking for the same 3 skills.
So high repetition and a high cost for inconsistency.
That's the formula. Find the 20% of tasks that take up 80% of your time but don't require brand new creative thinking every single time. Start there.
Got it. Step 2, modularize prompts. This is where we stop writing those giant messy paragraphs and we start building with the Lego bricks we talked about.
Exactly. You take those big, successful, but messy prompts that you've written and you break them down into smaller, reusable blocks. This is how you gain control and flexibility. You create focused components for specific variables.
So you'd have one master module for tone.
Yes, a dedicated module for tone, like professional, highly succinct, avoiding all metaphors. Then a separate one for format, like output as a 3-column markdown table, always starting with the summary section. And then a module for the core intent, like summarize and extract potential conflicts of interest.
I can see the power in that immediately. Instead of typing out, be professional, make a table, find the conflicts every time, you just call those modules.
Right. A simple system you build for yourself, even in a tool like Notion, then just calls those modules. Use professional tone plus table format plus extract conflicts on this document. This flexibility means you can recombine them for endless new tasks without ever rewriting your core quality instructions. You've encoded your expertise into reusable assets.
Okay, step 3 is context injection. This seems critical for making the output actually relevant and not just generic.
It is. A static prompt says the same thing every time. Dynamic context injection is the opposite. It's where you automatically insert specific, real-time data like a user's name, a product's details, your business's hours into your template right at the moment you run it.
So instead of me write a follow-up email about Project Alpha for client Jane Doe, My system automatically pulls Jane Doe, Project Alpha, maybe the date of our last call, and even the contract value right into the prompt template.
Precisely. If you're a freelancer juggling 50 projects, manually copy-pasting the client's preferred greeting style or the last 3 interaction points is so error-prone and slow. A system can be designed to grab those variables from your CRM or your project management tool and inject them, instantly personalizing the output. This is how you automate judgment based on specific data, not just generalities.
That's a huge time saver. Okay, step 4, version everything. This sounds like where a non-technical person might get tripped up. Do I need to learn how to use GitHub?
No, absolutely not. But you do need discipline. You can get 80% of the value of enterprise version control with tools you already have. Use a structured Notion database or even a master Google Sheet.
A Google Sheet? Seriously?
Seriously. That sheet becomes your central prompt library. Each row has a column for the prompt name, the full text of the prompt, the date created, a version number like v1.0, v1.1, v2.0, and this is the crucial part. A column for performance score and another for reason for change.
So you're documenting why you made a change.
You have to. v2.0 adjusted the tone module because v1.1 was too verbose and clients weren't responding. You have to know which version worked best. If your new brilliant prompt, v3.0, starts getting poor feedback, you have to be able to instantly look up the code for the proven v2.5 and roll back immediately. It's about being able to recover when things go wrong.
Okay, very practical. Step 5, test at scale. We talked about QA, but how does a one-person shop really do this robustly?
You have to define specific test cases, and just as important, edge cases. Test the happy path, sure, the typical input, but then you have to test what happens if the input is ambiguous or incomplete or even a little aggressive. What if the client's name is misspelled? What if the document you're summarizing is 100 pages instead of 10? Test the extremes to find the breaking points.
And we can automate some of the evaluation.
Yes, using those secondary AI prompts we mentioned. Run your main prompt, then run a simple evaluation prompt to check the output for key things. For red teaming, a solopreneur just needs to schedule 15 minutes a week to consciously try and break their own system. Try to inject commands. If you can trick it, someone else can too.
That's a proactive defense. I like it. Now, step 6. Deploy via API. This sounds like the hardest step, but you said it's crucial. Why can't we just keep pasting into the chat window?
This is maybe the most critical step for actually operationalizing this and getting real scale. You have to move your tested, validated prompts into integrated assets, and that means wrapping them into an API endpoint.
Okay, be very clear here for the non-technical listener. What's the easiest, lowest friction way to do that? I don't want to learn Python just to automate my emails.
Great question. For the solopreneur, the answer is low-code automation platforms like Zapier or Make. You're probably already using them. You use these platforms to create a connection. The logic is, when a new lead arrives in my CRM, that's the trigger, send the lead's data, that's the context, to my prompt system API, that's the action, and then take the generated personalized welcome email, the output, and draft it in my Gmail, the final step.
So instead of me doing all those manual steps, opening the chat, finding the right prompt, pasting it, adding the variables, I just click one button in my CRM or it just happens automatically.
Exactly. The button press automatically sends the data, triggers the correct version of the prompt, gets the reliable tested response, puts it right back where you need it. That frees up hours of your time and your mental energy, and it ensures zero manual errors.
That's the dream. Okay, final step. Step 7, track and improve.
The feedback loop. This is where the real long-term competitive edge is built. A system is only as good as its maintenance. You have to monitor performance based on actual results. Are customers happy? Are the candidates you're screening with at high quality? What's the failure rate? You use that data, the hard numbers and the subjective feedback, to continuously iterate on your prompt logic.
So it's not about achieving some static perfection. It's about constant improvement.
It's constant optimization based on real-world performance. The solopreneurs who teach their machine better, based on disciplined data, are the ones who are going to win faster.
The whole blueprint is really about using automation to enforce a standard of quality that would be impossible for a solo person to maintain manually.
It is the scalable architecture of your own expertise. Hashtag outro.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We started this deep dive thinking about prompts as just these clever queries, and we've ended up defining them as foundational business logic, the actual infrastructure of a modern AI-powered business.
Yeah, we've really traced the path from those chaotic one-off inputs to these structured, managed, and deployed systems.
And the material makes it so clear that this shift is happening right now. It's not optional.
No, and prompts are not going away. Even as the AI models get smarter and smarter, they're going to remain absolutely foundational because at the end of the day, prompts are how we humans communicate our specific proprietary expertise, our unique brand logic, our quality standards to the machines. They're the instruction manual for your intellectual capital.
The lesson from Klarna replacing 700 agents while increasing customer satisfaction, it's not a story about magic. It's a story about leveraged expertise that's applied through rigorous systems. It proves that a well-designed prompt system can capture and operationalize high-quality judgment at a scale and a consistency that even huge human teams struggle to maintain.
And that's really the final implication here. Prompt systems are not a passing trend. They're the next logical step in operationalizing intelligence. They enable companies and individuals to think better, to scale their best judgment consistently and reliably.
And that ability to think better, faster, and more consistently. In a world driven by algorithms, that's the most scalable competitive edge there is.
It truly is.
So here's our final provocative thought for you to mull over. The future of business is not going to be powered by people or by AI alone. It's going to be powered by the systems that effectively and reliably connect the best thinking of the human to the massive scale of the machine. Your prompt system is where that competitive edge lives, hidden away in your infrastructure. Find those repeatable tasks, modularize your best thinking, and start building that moat today.